with Bruno producing the magic to provide Newcastle their biggest win so far this season. Newcastle has snatched the 3 points.
I forgive you.
So from Bruno's game-changing clutch moment, to the brilliance of Murphy, to Newcastle's new maverick, to Malik Chow's masterclass, we'll also reveal the unnoticed game-winning tactic Eddie Howe is using to destroy teams. As per, join us as we'll break it all down and discuss the 5 things we learned in Newcastle United, 2 Fulham 1.
Let's go!
So the first thing we learned was Bruno Guimarães, the clutch captain. On his 50th start for Newcastle United, Bruno Guimarães reminded everyone exactly why he's the heartbeat of this team. The Brazilian was energetic and purposeful from the opening whistle, constantly driving his side forward and setting the tone in midfield. He should have scored earlier, heading over from close range in the second half, but he made no mistake when it mattered most, popping up in the 90th minute to fire home the winner in front of the Gallowgate end. It wasn't his most dominant display across the 90 minutes, but when his side needed leadership and quality, Bruno stood tall. His 7.6 match rating reflected both his influence and his decisive moment, sparing Eddie Howe some difficult questions about his team's ability to turn dominance into results. It was a captain's performance, crowned with a moment of pure class. Statistically, Bruno's impact was everywhere. He registered 23 passes in the final third, won 8 duels, regained possession 6 times, created 4 chances, had 4 shots, and made 3 tackles. He also completed 2 successful take-ons, drew 3 fouls, and of course scored the match-winning goal. That's the definition of a complete midfield display: energy, creativity, and decisive end product. After the match, Bruno reflected modestly on his contribution. Will Osula, he came, he shot, and I was ready for the rebound in my 50th start for this club. Now I just want to rest for a bit because I am very tired. It was a fitting quote from a player who quite literally covered every blade of grass. He deserved his Man of the Match award, finishing with the most key passes, the most fouls won, the most touches, and that all-important winning goal. His 89% passing accuracy summed up the precision and control he brought to Newcastle's midfield. This season, Bruno's influence has only grown. He's become more of a direct goal threat than ever before, evolving from a deep-lying playmaker into a dynamic all-round midfielder. His goals per game tell the story of that progression, rising from 0.13 in the 2022-23 season, improving slightly to 0.19 in 2023-24 season, holding steady at 0.13 in 2024-25 season, and then taking a huge leap to 0.38 in 2025-26 season. With 8 goal involvements in 16 games already this season, the Brazilian is delivering consistency and clutch moments in equal measure. Statistically, when compared to Newcastle's other midfielders, his influence becomes even clearer. Sandro Tonali has completed 85.9% of his passes over 2,632 minutes, while Joelinton has recorded an 83.8% completion rate across 2,405 minutes. Lewis Miley, in his limited 304 minutes, leads the group with 88.4%, which is good. But Bruno Guimarães, having played the most, with 3,286 minutes, maintains an impressive 83.7%, which is astonishing, showing his balance between risk and reward. He's the one constantly pushing play forward without losing control. A midfielder who combines ambition with assurance, and whose influence continues to define Newcastle's rhythm and tempo. Bruno Guimarães isn't just Newcastle United's midfield engine anymore. He's their leader, match winner, and emotional anchor. And on his milestone appearance, he once again delivered when it mattered most. Then moving on to the Jacob Murphy brilliance. Jacob Murphy reminded everyone once again why every successful team needs a player like him. He might not start every week, but when his name is on the team sheet, he never lets Newcastle United down. Against Fulham, he was a live wire from the first whistle, full of intent, energy, and confidence. His brilliantly taken goal gave Newcastle a crucial half-time lead, his first Premier League goal since April, and it was just reward for a dominant first-half performance. Murphy's numbers tell the story. No Newcastle player had more shots, 5, more shots on target, 3, or more touches in the opposition box, 3, in the first half than him. He was Newcastle's sharpest attacking weapon, constantly testing the goalkeeper and stretching Fulham's defence. His 13.28 shot frequency rate ranks him second among Premier League wingers and attacking midfielders, underlining his incredible attacking productivity despite limited minutes this season. Statistically, he posted an 8.1 match rating, the second highest on the pitch. He recorded 1 goal, 0.49 expected goals, and 0.03 expected assists, alongside 5 total shots and 3 on target, with 1 effort even striking the woodwork. Defensively, he chipped in as well, completing 1 tackle, 3 recoveries, and winning 2 ground duels, a reflection of his tireless two-way work ethic. Murphy's opener came from instinct and composure, but his missed second chance will have frustrated him. It was arguably an easier opportunity.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
Murphy released. Murphy one-on-one. Jacob Murphy to win it. Oh, no, just put it in the net!
Yet that's the hallmark of a player always in the right positions to score. He faded slightly in the second half and was replaced after the hour mark, but by then, he had already done the damage. What makes Murphy truly special, though, is his mentality. Out of the team recently, he never complains or sulks. Instead, he waits patiently and delivers when his moment arrives. That professionalism has earned him admiration from both teammates and fans. As Anthony Gordon said after the Benfica game, he can do absolutely everything any winger can do in the Premier League, and I don't know why he's so underestimated. I love playing with him. Murphy is Newcastle through and through, a player who embodies Eddie Howe's values of hard work, humility, and persistence. With 2 goal involvements in his last 2 games, he's once again proving his worth at a crucial stage of the season. Underrated? Absolutely. But inside that dressing room, there's no doubt. Jacob Murphy is one of Newcastle United's most dependable and valuable wide men. On the opposite flank, Anthony Gordon delivered a lively yet inconsistent display. The winger was full of energy and invention, constantly driving at Fulham's backline and looking to make things happen. However, despite his relentless intent, the final product wasn't quite there this time. It wasn't the electrifying performance he produced against Benfica in midweek, but it was still a reminder of how dangerous he can be when on the ball. Statistically, Gordon registered a 7.4 rating. Solid, but not spectacular. He created 2 big chances and made 2 key passes, showing flashes of his creativity, even if he couldn't find the killer moment. His expected assists stood at a 0.42 rating, highlighting how involved he was in Newcastle's attacking build-up. He completed 18 of 20 passes, 90% accuracy, and was reliable in possession, particularly in deeper areas with 100% passing accuracy in his own half. In the final third, Gordon attempted 4 crosses, with 1 finding its target, and made 2 dribbles, though none were successful. He was fouled 3 times, often drawing defenders out of position with his sharp movement. Yet, his 14 possessions lost, and a few heavy touches reflected the slight lack of precision in his execution. It was, in many ways, a frustrating afternoon. Lots of promise, plenty of involvement, but no end product. Gordon has built a reputation for rising to the occasion against the Premier League's biggest sides, but as seen here, he sometimes struggles to make the same impact against teams that sit deep and defend compactly. This game fell into that pattern. Still, his drive, pressing intensity, and willingness to take responsibility were evident throughout, traits that make him one of Eddie Howe's most trusted players. While he didn't register a goal or assist, Gordon's influence remains crucial to how Newcastle attack. His presence forces defenders back and creates space for others, particularly overlapping full-backs and central runners like Bruno Guimarães. It was a step below his best, but a reminder that even on an off day, Gordon continues to be a vital outlet for this Newcastle side. At the center of the front line, Nick Voltemade had a frustrating outing despite showing glimpses of his growing potential. Coming into this game as one of the most transferred-in fantasy assets and fresh off a surge in market value, breaking into the top 10 biggest upgrades in the Premier League. Expectations were high, but football, as ever, can be unforgiving. Voltemade's afternoon began with what could have been the perfect start, a powerful strike that crashed against the post early on. It was a moment that summed up his luck on the day. The young German forward's underlying metrics remain elite, ranking in the 80th percentile for non-penalty goals and 94th percentile for goal conversion. But against Fulham, the final touch just wasn't there. Statistically, he finished with a 6.3 rating, 0.39 xG, and 0.01 xA from 2 total shots, one of which hit the woodwork. He completed 11 of 18 passes, 61%, showing decent link-up play, and attempted 3 dribbles, 1 successful. Despite 34 touches and 3 fouls won, he struggled to impose himself fully, particularly under the physical duels with Diop and Bassi, who marked him tightly throughout. What stood out, however, was his hold-up play, particularly in the first half when he brought Bruno Guimarães into play for what nearly became a crucial chance. Even when the ball wasn't finding him, Voltemade showed maturity beyond his years, maintaining composure and contributing to Newcastle's pressing structure. After the match, Bruno Guimarães praised him, saying, "I've never played with someone with the same characteristics as Nick. When you see a tall player, you never think he'll be good on the ball or skillful." It was a telling comment, a nod to Nick Voltemade's rare blend of size, touch, and football intelligence. While the goal didn't come, he continues to justify Eddie Howe's trust and the fans' growing excitement. The German supporters who travelled to watch him at St. James's Park weren't disappointed either. Even without a goal, Voltemade showed flashes of the player Newcastle believe can become their long-term number 9. Then we also learned about Joelinton's monster class. After being dropped for the previous match, the Brazilian returned to the starting lineup with fire in his eyes and played like a man on a mission. This was the Joelinton that Newcastle fans love, aggressive, commanding and influential all over the left side of the pitch. He was miles better than his performance against Brighton last time out, showing exactly why Eddie Howe values his presence so highly. From the first whistle, Joelinton looked determined to make up for lost ground. His tenacity in duels and composure on the ball stood out immediately. He controlled the tempo in midfield, constantly winning second balls and driving Newcastle forward whenever space opened up. He was relentless in challenges, snapping into tackles and recovering possession at key moments, the sort of physical dominance that gives Newcastle's midfield its bite. Statistically, it was a commanding all-round performance. Joelinton recorded a 7.4 match rating, completing 31 of 36 passes, 86% accuracy, maintaining a solid 82% completion rate in the opposition half, and completed all his long balls. Defensively, he was immense, making 4 tackles, winning 1, 2 clearances and 6 recoveries, while also blocking a shot and making 9 ground duels, winning 7, and 4 aerial duels, with 3 won. These numbers show exactly why he's such a unique player in this Newcastle system, a midfielder who combines brute strength with technical control. In the first half alone, he won more duels, 8, made more tackles, 4, and won possession 4 times than any other Newcastle player. His influence stretched across both phases of play, linking beautifully with Dan Burn and Anthony Gordon down the left flank. That balance between defensive solidity and attacking drive allowed Newcastle to control that side of the pitch completely. Although he didn't record a goal or assist, finishing with 0.07 xG and 0.03 xa, his performance was about far more than numbers. It was about presence, control, and leadership. This was Joelinton at his bruising, brilliant best, a physical enforcer who set the tone for Newcastle's intensity. After a patchy run of form, this was exactly the response Eddie Howe wanted from him: disciplined, destructive, and dominant. A real statement performance that reminded everyone why Joelinton remains one of the most important players in this Newcastle United side. Then it was another defensive colossus masterclass from Malik Chow, who continues to look like one of the signings of the season and an absolute bargain at £34 million. The German was calm, composed, and commanding. Everything you could want from a modern centre-back. You really do wonder how AC Milan let him go. Chow was assured in possession and rock-solid defensively, constantly reading the game a step ahead of everyone else. As Newcastle pushed for a winner, he was unshakable, snuffing out danger, winning his duels, and stepping up to intercept play whenever Fulham looked to counter. He got his teammates out of trouble more than once, showing leadership beyond his years. Statistically, he was immense. A 7.4 rating, 1 successful tackle, 1 interception, 3 clearances, 1 blocked shot, 6 recoveries, 3 out-out 3 ground duels won, 5 out of 6 aerial duels won, 0 fouls committed and 0 times dribbled past. In possession, he was solid too, having 57 out of 63 accurate passes, a 90% accuracy, the most and highest in the game, with an 85% accuracy in the opposition half and 74 touches, third most overall. That mix of defensive dominance and composure under pressure allowed Newcastle to keep the ball and sustain attacks late on. Every time Fulham looked like escaping, Chow read it like an open book. Cool, classy, and precise. At only 24 years old, Chow has already evolved into what looks like Newcastle's best centre-back. His blend of athleticism, anticipation, and technical ability makes him the perfect modern defender. He's quick enough to sweep behind, confident enough to play out from the back, and brave enough to dominate aerially. If he keeps this level, £34 million will go down as one of the best value transfers of the 21st century for Newcastle United. On the other hand, for Sven Botman, not his usual self, but nothing too serious. It wasn't quite the vintage Sven Botman display we've grown used to. The Dutchman looked a little off the pace, uncharacteristically sloppy in possession, and not as assured as usual before being forced off following a nasty collision on the goal line with Fulham's Sasa Lukic. He still managed 3 clearances, 1 blocked shot, 1 recovery, and 23 out 26 passes completed, at 88% accuracy, but it wasn't his finest outing. Eddie Howe later confirmed that Botman avoided concussion. Just a cut. Sven's fine. I think he's just got a cut, so there's no concussion there. A good decision from the on-field physio to take him off, meaning he'll be available for the next games. Even so, his early substitution reminded everyone how important his presence is to Newcastle's defensive structure. Still, despite Newcastle edging in the field tilt, possession, XG, total shots, and on target, Fulham weren't far in each metric and had great chances to score too. But once again, Nick Pope came up clutch. He made 4 key saves, including 2 from inside the box, and prevented 1.69 goals, another performance that kept Newcastle in the game. His kicking looked more confident, his handling clean, and his positioning perfect. There was absolutely nothing he could do for Fulham's equaliser. Pope's reliability continues to be the difference between Newcastle dropping points and staying in the race for Europe. He finished with an 8.1 rating, and honestly, it's hard to argue against him being one of the best keepers in the Premier League right now. Also a big shout out to Fabian Schär. When he came on for Botman, it was like a switch flipped in Newcastle's build-up. His progressive passing and composure added another dimension to the game, especially his trademark crossfield diagonals to Gordon and those crisp, line-breaking passes into midfield. He finished with a 7.2 match rating, 100% tackles won, 2 interceptions, 4 clearances, 1 blocked shot, 2 recoveries, 100% duels won, 25 out 27 passes completed, 93% accuracy, and 3 out of 4 long balls accurate. Defensively solid, technically superb. His cameo reminded everyone why he still has such an important role in this team. Don't write off Fabian Schär, he might just start again soon. Together, Chow, Botman, Schär, and Pope showcased why Newcastle's defensive depth remains one of their biggest strengths this season. But above all, it was Chow's calm authority that stood out. A colossus at the back, and possibly the best value for money signing Newcastle have made in years. Then moving on to the willpower. When Will Osula came on, the entire energy of the game shifted. His introduction injected a burst of urgency, intensity, and aggression into Newcastle's play. He pressed like a man possessed, chased every loose ball, and his direct run and shot eventually led to Bruno Guimarães' late winner. It was the kind of cameo that doesn't just change a match, it sends a message. Osula didn't just run, he hunted. His pressing triggered the entire front line to step up in unison, suffocating Fulham's attempts to play out from the back. For a player still finding his feet in the Premier League, it was an encouraging and mature performance, showing hunger, work rate, and the kind of tactical intelligence that Eddie Howe demands from his forwards. After the game, Eddie Howe spoke glowingly about the 20-year-old striker. There's been big growth in Will Osula's game. He's worked tirelessly with Graham Jones, who's done a lot of individual work with him, as have all of our coaches, but Graham in particular. That partnership was evident at full time, as Graham Jones and Osula embraced, both knowing how much that cameo meant. The hard work behind the scenes is clearly paying off. Osula hasn't played much this season, but when he has, he's always made an impact. Just look at the record. A goal off the bench against Liverpool, 2 goals in the Carabao Cup, an assist in the Champions League at Union, and a direct hand in the winning goal against Fulham. That's 4 separate competitions, and 4 meaningful contributions. Not bad for a young player learning his trade. While the headlines often go to Bruno's magic or Woltemade's link-up play, one of Newcastle's most underrated strengths under Eddie Howe has been their pressing structure. The first goal from Murphy against Fulham came from sharp, coordinated pressure high up the pitch, exactly the kind of play Howe drills into his side daily. Even when Anthony Elanga struggled with his final ball, his pressing was relentless. His energy and commitment forced the turnover, led to the match-winning goal. And on the other side, Anthony Gordon continues to be one of Newcastle's best pressers, if not the best, in the Premier League. His defensive work rate and counter-pressing intensity often go unnoticed, but remain vital to Howe's system. This team pressing isn't a one-off pattern. Go back to the goal against Wolves, or even the Benfica and Liverpool games. Time and time again. Funny enough, most of Newcastle's goals are coming from intelligent, aggressive pressing in the opposition half. Arsenal may be known as the set-piece kings, even recently winning from a set-piece, but if we're being honest, Newcastle United are quietly becoming the press kings. The numbers, the patterns, and the eye test all show a team that wins through effort, unity, and clever pressing traps. Eddie Howe's revolution isn't just about possession or defensive discipline. It's about building a side that forces opponents into mistakes through sheer collective intensity. And with young talents like Osula buying into that philosophy, Newcastle's future looks not only bright, but relentless. But if you'd like to know the full story of Eddie Howe's Newcastle crazy resurgence, click the video on screen now.